Hello everybody. In this video we're going to talk a little bit more about how to set up a logic game sequencing question, but this one is a little more complicated because it has a little bit of a twist to it. So the plan for this video is going to be, I'm going to show how to map out with our master sketch kind of the rules for this game, and then I'm going to stop the video there. The next video will be actually working through the problems using our master sketch, but I would highly encourage you to just simply try doing the problems on your own before attempting to watch through my solution. I mean, that's really the best way to learn, is if you're attempting it yourself first. So anyway, let's go ahead and look at this game here. Okay, so it says exactly 7 professors, M, N, O, P, R, S, and T. Okay, so these are going to be our players. So I'm going to put that down. M, N, N, O, P, R, S, T. So we have 7 pieces that we're playing with here. We're hired in the years 1989 through 1995. Well, kind of counting on your fingers, you can see them. Actually, we'll just stay with yellow for a bit. We can see that that's going to be 7 years, right? Because 89 would be this year, and then 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95. So I'm just going to just note that up there. Let's change this up a little bit. So that's 89, that's 90, that's 91, that's 92, 93, 94, and 95. Okay, so really what we're looking at here is that we've got 7 slots to play with. 7 pieces, 7 slots. Now, in a normal sequencing game, they usually throw something in where only one piece can be in one slot at a time, but that's not the case here. It says that we could have any 2 professors hired in the same year or in consecutive years do not have a specialty in common. So they don't actually tell us that we can only have 1 professor per year. We could potentially have more. This is the twist. But don't freak out over it. Let's look at the other condition in the rules. It says that each professor has 1 or more specialties, and any 2 professors hired in the same year or in consecutive years. Now, this is a little bit confusing language here, but consecutive years would just mean the very next year, right? So if I have a professor here at year 0, the next year, year 1, or the year right behind it, year 9, they cannot have any specialties in common. So, for example, let's say if M and N had a common specialty, and if M was over here in year 0, I can't put N either on 9, 0, or 1. We have to translate that as that if they have the same specialty, they have to be at least 1 solid space apart. Okay? So with that being stated, let's look now at what the rules state. All right. The professors are hired according to the following conditions. Madison was hired in 93, Robinson in 91. Well, that's a pretty easy rule right there. M goes in 93, and Robinson goes in 91. So let's just put that right down. So here goes R in there, and Madison goes here. Okay, now also very importantly, if you're definitively told where to place your pieces, make sure to check them off your list, because we always want to be thinking about what pieces do we have left to play with, what options do we have. So now we're just down to 5 pieces to arrange. We don't have to worry about M and R, we know they just have to be right there. Okay, what's rule number 2? There is at least 1 specialty that Madison, M, O, and T have in common. Well, according to the rules that we have there, if professors have a specialty in common, they have to be spaced at least 1 full unit apart. So I would maybe abbreviate this something like this. I'd say M, O, and T, I could say they can't be in the same space nor in a consecutive space, right? Well, that we can actually plug some things in here, because we know that if we have M, O, and T, they have to be separated this way. Well, I know M has to be here. So right off the bat, that means O and T can't be in the same space, and they also can't be in the next consecutive space on either side. And if that confuses you for a moment, just pause the video, take a look at this, and resume when you're ready. Okay, let's look at the third rule. The third rule is that N shares a specialty with Robinson, or with R. Okay, so that just means, like rule 2, N and R can't be in the same space or in a consecutive space. Well, that, again, we know R has to be here, so that gives us some restrictions on N. We can't put N here, I can't put N in the same space, and I also can't put N over here. But that doesn't really, still, we can't really place anything right now because there's still a lot of spaces where N could be, but that would give us our rule there. Okay. Now, what about, let's see, what's rule 4? P and S were each hired at least 1 year before Madison and at least 1 year after N. Don't overthink this. It's just giving us a sequence, right? We have to have P and S somewhere in between N and M. So that means N has to come first, and I don't know how many years. It just said at least 1 year, so I'll just do ... Now here's very important. I'm going to put P ... S. Actually, really technically I should put P/S. No, S/ because we don't know which one comes first. All we know is that they have to come somewhere in between M and N, right? So that means they can't be on the same space as M and N, and they have, okay, let's see what we can do here. We can say, well, in that case, if they have to come, I don't know where N is supposed to go, but I do know that M is placed right here, so I cannot put P or S after M. No P there, no S there. They have to be somewhere behind. They also can't be on the same space, so I can't put P here either, and I can't put S there either. But now this is very important. Notice we have a block here. We have to have N, P or S, they could be together, we don't know, but we have to have N behind M somewhere in order for this rule to make sense. But let's look at this for a second. Well, if M is right here, look at the rules we got. We know that N cannot be here, N cannot be here, and N cannot be there. So the only place where N can be is right here in 89. Again, pause the video if that confuses you and think about it. We have to have N behind M according to this rule. And the only space where that could happen, if we look behind M, is here. So N has to be on 89. So we can scratch another thing off of our list. We know that's where that has to be. Okay, what's the 5th rule? It says the 5th rule is that O, who shares a specialty with S, was hired in 1990. So O has to be here in 1990. All right, so we fill that in. O, that's out. We've placed O. But then it also states, so we know O has to be in 90. But we also know that O shares a specialty with Sarkis, so S has to be at least 2 spaces away from O. Right? So S, O cannot be consecutive or in the same space, right? According to the little consecutive. Well, okay, we'll see. So that means we can't put S here. We can't put S with O. And we also can't put S right here, because these are all consecutive or same spaces with O. Which means, and think about this, what this means is, where could we put S? Looks like there's only one space where S could be, because remember, S has to be behind M. The rule 4 stated that we have to be at least 1 year before Madison, so at least one space behind. But I can't put it in this one, I can't put it in that one, and I can't put it in that one, which means I have to put it here. Which means we can cross that off our list too. So really, all we're left with is, as weird as this was to start with, most of the pieces are already placed. The only 2 that we have left are just P and T. Where can we put those? And we would just look at those. Those are the only players left that we have to deal with. It's just P and T. And we already have some restrictions on those, right? I can't put P here, here, here. I can't, so I only have like these spaces that I can play with for P. T is not allowed to go here, here, here. So there's only 3 spaces for T. So that makes this game a lot more manageable when we're handling our questions. Even though the wording on this was weird, like we didn't really know which days, technically what years stuff was in. Following these rules and thinking through what it means, that if we can't have stuff consecutive or in the same space, that really helped us put pretty much everything that we needed in place. Okay, so that's really it for the map in terms of your master sketch here. We're going to pause the video, and in the next one, we're going to handle the questions. But what I want to do is see if I can give you an opportunity. If I scroll down a bit, I think you can see most of the questions. Here's what I want to do for you to tackle it. So, pause the video right here, questions 8, 9, 10, and 11, and then I'll scroll down a little bit, and you can see 12 and 13. So I'd like you to pause it for those sections, take a little screenshot, and see if you can tackle using this map. See if you can answer the questions.